She told me that I was stupid. No, she told me that, yeah, this child is stupid who just leaves a bank job and does something as ridiculous
What
as
did you
radio.
say to that? I mean, I'd be offended.
I think also, yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, that we are here on this earth for a particular purpose. You know, like, actually, it was the very first thing when I actually made that switch to now be fully into the radio industry, where now it became my career. I started my very first day in radio. I was the producer of The Touchdown, a very new show, the afternoon drive show on the #1 urban radio station.
At the same time, not all that glitters is gold, you
Yeah.
know. You're a huge advocate for mental health at the moment, and you also have had your fair share of mental illness.
Yes. The month that I spent there, when I looked at that hospital bill, it was close to $250,000.
That's insane.
I was seeing 7 doctors a day. The secret, you need money, you need success.
Yeah.
Find your passion, find your purpose,
And I
and
love
everything
that.
is gonna open up for you.
And I love it because you're really, really just forcing us, even myself, you
Yeah.
know, to really just dig deep into myself, into me within. We're all about sharing the facts and teaching the tricks. Let's talk all things about music, the life of music. Let's engage about the rhythm. Let's talk about our passion for melodies, sound, and those beautiful classics. Let's get educated about these decibels we oh so dearly love. On this podcast, we talk about these politics. Welcome to Music Politricks. Sanbonani dumelang kere ekse nakalina ke nabusi baba khulu baba dese bareke the queen of Pitori, and welcome to another episode of Music Politricks. This is where we learn and we teach everything about the music industry, all those things that we think we know, Mara, we don't really know about them. So make sure that you stick around with us. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed. Make sure that you also subscribe, press the like button, share, and of course, tell us who you'd like to see on the platform. A big shout out to everybody who's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please send through those reviews so we know exactly where your head is at, where the podcast is concerned. Today, I'm hanging out with a super producer. She's a broadcaster. And can I call you a mental health activist? Is that cool?
Do you know, someone actually referred me as an activist, and I was a bit confused because I was just rolling with it. But yeah, I guess you can.
I can, right? Okay. And what's even better is that she gets us grooving and dancing on all the dance floors. DJ Pru Luv. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm truly honored to be here.
You look amazing.
Thank you. I try.
Choba Togo. Man, hey.
Try Hey, we have to try.
And the thing that I actually didn't mention in the intro is that you're an IT graduate, eh?
Girl.
Yeah. What an
Like
interesting life.
my resume, like just too much in it. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy.
Sure,
It's
that is so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
How did it all, I mean, okay, cool. I mean, yes, you're a developer. I know you were in the IT space.
Yes.
But did you always know that you were going to be in radio? How did you go about choosing
No,
IT?
actually, no, not at all. So, what had happened in school, I guess in high school, I wanted to be an accountant initially. Then I wanted to be an attorney. By the time I got to matric, yeah, I was like, office jobs are not going to be for me. So let me do something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I told my parents that I wanted to be a motivational speaker.
Wow.
And they were like, are you insane? We took you to private schools. We spent so much money. What the hell are you going to be saying to people?
Yeah.
No. So my dad dragged me, to Wits University, where I enrolled for accounting and law, as I did mention earlier. And then I saw a learnership, an IT learnership, and I actually tried my luck there. And out of 36,000 entries, I made it to the final 36. Yeah. And that's how I got into IT. So it was not planned at all. It was not planned at all. And I knew, I mean, day one, walking into the lecture room, you know that this is not for you. However, it is an opportunity. I'm a big believer in God. And I believe that when God gives you an opportunity, maybe there's something that you're not seeing the bigger picture. So let me take up this opportunity and see where it leads me. And obviously, I mean, to make it to the final 36 out of 36,000 entries, clearly there was something there, you know. Obviously, I passed the trick with a maths distinction, so that also just put me up there, you know. And yeah, so that's how my IT journey began. I started off as a developer, coding, because people know that term, coding versus development.
Sure.
And I started at Nedbank. So it was a banking learnership. So it was the banks that came together. It was a bank seater, came together, and they sponsored 36 students. And then was sponsored by Nedbank, worked at Nedbank as an IT developer. And then I moved on to Standard Bank, where I became an analyst programmer, and then moved to the business side of IT, where I was a business analyst, a project manager, IT dev chairperson for the Transformation Forum. And yeah, so I grew a lot within a Standard Bank. And then I think when I started my IT journey, I had made a promise to myself that as soon as I get to the top of the SDLC, that's what it's called. It's the System Development Life Cycle. So I could say the hierarchy of IT. So the top level would be project management. So I made a promise to myself that as soon as I get to that level, then I would actually follow what I am passionate about. And it so happened that when I was doing my second year of studies in IT, my sister won a competition on YFM. And she could bring two of her friends, and obviously I was going to be one of the friends. And when I got there, it was actually during a period where I was asking God about my purpose. What is my purpose? So I've been praying, and I got into the YFM studio, and God said, "This is it." I'm like, "What? No," because I had never also thought about radio ever. So people believe that, I mean, I've been on radio for over 13 years. They think that was my passion. It was something that I wanted to do. No, actually, radio found me because, like I'm saying, I walked into the YFM studios and God said, "This is it." And I thought, initially I was hesitant because you can imagine coming through from, you know, that educational background where you're a top achiever. You would think God would say, maybe you're going to be the first female president in South Africa.
Something.
So radio, you're like, no way. But then as I thought about it and took some time to process that whole industry, I realized that this is actually it, you know. It's something that is very natural to me. I talk a lot. I love my music. I know my music. And yeah, so why not? Because I think also that mindset back then, that I believe that to work, you must really struggle and suffer, and you must put so much effort. So getting into radio was rather effortless. And yeah, so I've been, I took the radio route. Started obviously on YFM.
And I understand you were a guest, like you were that guest that was always there.
Yeah, so that's actually how it happened. So it was on Bondon Tuli's show where my sister won the competition. And then Ntando, the musician, was supposed to select. So there were 3 girls that won, and each would bring 2 friends. So there were 9 of us. And then Ntando would walk into the studio, not knowing who had won, and just pick his girl, the one that he wanted to go on a date with. And then he picked me. So the good thing is that whoever he picked, the other 2 would still go on that date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's not like you win and then all of a sudden you're dropped.
Okay,
you know?
cool.
Because my sister was like, hey, you are winning now, and I brought you here.
Can you imagine?
So yeah, we went there, and I think what Bondentuli loved was that my sister and I were rather controversial. We just had our own minds, you know, and it was with relations to relationships. So his show was an evening show, you know, the 9 to 12.
Okay, cool.
You know
what
no
it
filter,
is.
sexual
You
topics and all
know.
of that. My sister and I had no filters. We just went in, very controversial views. And he just loved us and he called us regularly. And that's how we then became contributors on his show. And then, yeah, then we tried our luck, obviously, at at YFM, to have our own show now. Quite tricky.
Yeah.
You know, the controversial things that happen in our industry, where people make you feel like you need to get into the industry through other means versus your talent.
Okay.
And I mean, yes, we're not gonna lie, we were good looking, we were young, fresh, and all of that. But one thing about me and also my sister, even from back then, I know that I can actually deliver.
Yeah.
So I will never sleep my way into anything or up anything.
Yeah.
So we're like, peace out. We ain't about that life. Then we tried our luck then at other radio stations, and we went to a Catholic church at that time. We're Catholic, and there was a radio station, Radio Veritas, that came to our church, and we thought, hey, why not go and audition there?
Yeah.
And then we went for the audition. On the same day of the audition, they just gave us the show.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so our first show was called Youth Wise on Radio Veritas. It was a talk show, and it worked perfectly because we talk. You think I talk? Get my sister, we will talk nonstop. And then we moved on to Channel O Radio.
Nice.
Where we were the breakfast show hosts. And then I think I got to a point where I felt, okay, you know what? Because I've always been working in IT whilst doing the radio stuff. So maybe let me actually delve into radio and give it more focus and just focus on radio versus doing IT and radio at the same time. So trying to balance both.
So it's sounding like that was the decision you made to be like, okay, I'm now leaving my job.
Yes, because I was also now a project manager. Remember, that's what I said, that
Yeah.
I wanted to reach that level and then I could switch. And once I was at that level, I'm like, okay, so this is actually a good time.
How did your parents take it though? Because I can imagine, I mean, your dad was very happy and, dragged you to Wits University. Yeah. How did he take something like that?
I think when that happened, my parents had actually seen the type of individual that I was. I'm the last born of 3 girls. And my mom was worried that I was a spoiled brat. My dad spoiled me rotten.
Okay.
And my mom would always tell my dad that you spoiled this child. And I think I just needed to show them that I'm a very responsible person. So even the decisions that I make are responsible. So I think I had proven to them that they can trust my decisions. And it's not a wayward decision or impulsive decision, because I sat down with them and I told them about my purpose. I told them about the whole journey.
Yeah.
And they were proud of what I had achieved in IT. And then they gave me that blessing that, you know what? We are proud of everything that you've done, not only in your career, but holistically, even how you have actually branded yourself as a young female, even in our community. You find parents looking up to you and wishing that kids were like you. So we are really proud of you. We will actually give you our blessing in taking this journey. We don't understand it.
Yeah.
We still believe it's risky.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my grandmother and my aunt, they were asking all these questions, and my aunt is one of those people, zero filter.
Yeah.
And no, she told me that I was stupid. No, she told me that, this child is stupid, who just leaves a bank job and does something as ridiculous
What
as
did you
radio.
say to that? I mean, I'd be offended.
She wasn't the only person. She wasn't. A lot of people from my friends. Oh gosh, my partner at that time also thought I was dumb to take that route.
Oh, no.
Because think about it, you're an IT graduate, and I was very young at that time. Also, I was the youngest project manager they had at Standard Bank, within that department at that time, so I'd achieved so much. And now people are like, okay, how can you achieve so much and then just switch careers? Are you okay? Were you bewitched? Is everything okay at home?
Which is wild, but I would expect people close to you who you really put very close to your heart to understand the kind of person you are and to support you.
Nope. I would say even going into radio, I felt so alone because most of the people, if not all, except obviously my parents, but remember that my parents still had reservations.
Sure.
So I would say I was all alone getting into this new journey of radio and everyone looking at me. And from time to time, over the years, believe you me, even up to this day, you know, when your friends and your former colleagues at the bank and those that you studied with, your classmates, they look at you and they're like, you're okay, and you're a DJ. Actually, when was it? It was a few months ago. I was helping my niece with her maths homework,
Yeah.
and it was
Trigonometry.
yeah.
Sure.
So I had actually just done the equation and I posted it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, this child, she calls me at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
for me to help her with the homework, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
and she needs the homework by tomorrow. So my friend then responds, this is on WhatsApp, responds and says, isn't it so funny that you're so good in maths, yet you ended up being a DJ?
But so what?
But saying it in, you know, it's loaded. That comment is loaded. Obviously, yeah, well, it comes off as a joke, but also still, you know, that reservation that why did you go into this industry when you're intelligent? How can you be a top achiever solving these trig equations and everything, then you end up DJing? Surely something is wrong with you.
I don't see anything. That's just the crazy thing. I mean, one of my favorite broadcasters is T-Boss. T-Boss is a qualified, I think, chemical or mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
And he's solidly a DJ and broadcaster,
Yeah.
and he kills it. So I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, you are walking in your purpose. So what?
I think also, yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, that we are here on this earth for a particular purpose. And it's not about doing what everyone feels or wishes you should be doing.
Yeah.
But actually following what God actually purposed for you. And I think I felt, especially at that moment when I made the switch, that it should be a celebration.
Yeah.
But instead it wasn't. Because I guess my relationship with God at that point and my spirituality was way more mature than my age. I was way ahead of my my friends and my circle. So also I had to understand that, okay, maybe they'll catch on later, you know.
Sure.
I'll leave them because people
Bona.
just didn't understand why a person would follow purpose. And remember, it is risky. You know, radio, having that 1-year contract that's constantly renewed versus leaving a permanent job. So I think also, yeah, they were looking at that risk, that why would you leave a comfy job to go into something that's so risky and
a lot of uncertainty also,
you know, and what's the end goal? Then what? You're on radio, then what?
But look, I'm sure there was a lot of risk, of course. You felt
Definitely.
it, you felt a lot of pressure, but there must have been one point in the radio journey where you're like, hey, this is working out. When was that?
You know, with me, I think my faith is what has brought me this far in life. Before I do anything, I sit down with God. We really delve into it. We discuss everything. And I knew that I was going to be successful in my radio career. I know someone would say, oh my gosh, that's arrogant. But I don't do anything unless I truly believe in it. And even when I see things falling apart, I will still stick to it because I truly believe that I am meant to succeed in whatever that I was doing. So with me taking the radio journey, you know, like actually it was the very first thing when I actually made that switch to now be fully into the radio industry, where now it became my career. I started my very first day in radio. I was the producer of The Touchdown, a very new show, the afternoon drive show on the #1 urban radio station
In the
literally.
That's huge.
My last day at Standard Bank was on the 1st of April. So I left at 12 p.m. Then 3 p.m. I started on Metro FM. Same day.
Wow.
So I knew on that day that this is it. And I mean, I'm starting where people are working so hard to get to
in
radio.
real.
And God just placed me there. And you can imagine, obviously, starting your full-time radio career, if I could put it like that, on top, it is going to cause people to start talking because people are like, how did she get there? Doesn't this person come? Well, people even thought that I was straight from varsity.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like, no, this one has just got a radio or media degree. Now she's on Drive. How does that work?
Sure.
And yes, there were obviously the nasty comments that this one slipped away there because you can't just make it into Drive. Where's the experience? And I guess because back then as well, most of the individuals came from other renowned radio stations like your YFMs and everything. So I guess because I was not well known in the radio circles, people were kind of not feeling this whole move. This young producer getting onto this Drive show, she's gonna mess it up and whatnot. And the thing is, to be honest with you, what had happened, so I was interning on the weekends on Tibo Touch's show, which was House of Swag.
Okay.
And when he got that opportunity to now move on to Drive, they needed a new show. So new people on the show.
Cool.
And
fresh minds, fresh ideas.
Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. So at that point, our programs manager loved my resume because like you mentioned, I had actually worked in the IT sector in various departments, in various roles, and my background obviously in radio, but also I did other things. I was actually an events manager at a backroom lounge back then. So it's the now Konka, where Konka is now. I'm from people, you know. So that was also something that I had done events. And my manager, you know, she looked at my resume. She was blown away, so impressed that I could be so young and have achieved so much.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm giving you a blank canvas. As the target audience of the radio station, because obviously Metro FM, the target market is obviously the young people.
Sure.
And I was 25. And you can imagine that the target audience was 24 to 30, I think it's 34. Yeah, no, it's 35.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, youth. Yeah. So she loved that I had achieved so much. And she said that I really believe that you are the right person for this job. When you create this show, create a show about you, for you, that represents you. So I want to get into your mind so that I understand the CV that I'm seeing and your resume. And she said, here, I'm giving you a blank canvas. And think about it, at that age, on that type of radio station, to be given that, it's insane. And that's what you were asking. How did I know that I made it? That.
Yeah. It's incredible because you
for someone
walked
to say,
in.
I love your mind.
Yeah.
So do whatever you want from beginning till end. They gave me a blank canvas. I could not believe it.
But look, at the same time, not all that glitters is gold, you know. You're a huge advocate for mental health at the moment, and you also have had your fair share of mental illness.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy to talk about.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's not easy to talk about any kind of illness, especially the ones that we don't necessarily see.
Yeah. I think, you see, here's the thing. We've spoken about the glitz, the glam, you know, everything that I've achieved. And I think I like the fact that we started this interview with when I was still in school, because I had to go back, you know, when, so I was actually admitted into hospital in 2010 for, the mental ailments that I was diagnosed with. So it was actually after an accident. I had a car accident going to Metro FM, by the way, whilst I was still interning. So I had an accident and I had an injury, but it was actually a back injury. So I went through MRI scans, CAT scans, X-rays, but they couldn't see anything. But I was in so much pain.
Sure.
So my doctor then referred me to a shrink, a psychologist. We call them shrinks.
Yeah.
And I was actually very hesitant because I'm like, what? A shrink? Why am I going to a shrink? Dude, I'm feeling I'm feeling physical pain. And now
Yeah.
you're telling me I need to go to someone who's going to be telling me something I already know. So I was quite negative. I'm not going to lie. I was very negative towards the whole psychology route. Why did I need to go through that? And indeed, I went to a shrink. I remember the sessions. I was just rolling my eyes thinking, why am I here?
Yeah.
And then eventually the psychologist tells me that we have a problem here. It's a big problem and you need to be admitted. And I thought, what? Admitted as in admitted into hospital? He's like, yeah. I'm like, no way. I'm not going to go to hospital. And then he told me that, okay, you talking about this pain, you're talking about all of this. The only way that pain can go away is for you to actually come into hospital. Let's go into this issue that you're having that's causing this pain, because if it cannot be seen on the x-rays and the scans, then surely there's something bigger that we are not seeing.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, after some hesitation, I ended up going there, and I was diagnosed with clinical depression, stress, bipolar, and anxiety. I was like, what?
Hectic.
Age for hectic. Mind you, this is after I had just been promoted to project manager. This is after I had just bought my car. I had bought a house. I had graduated. So that was the problem. How can I be depressed, stressed, have anxiety, have bipolar, yet I'm achieving all these amazing things. So on the outside, I'm a major success. Even my parents didn't understand why I ended up in hospital.
What was your understanding of it, though?
So going through that journey, I was in hospital for a whole month, believe it or not.
Jeez.
Yes,
That's a long time.
whole month. I was on antidepressants for 4 months.
Sure.
So obviously now going back, I remember a few days before the accident, I was chatting to my best friend and I said to her, I'm seeing black. Well, for lack of a better word or better phrase, I couldn't actually pinpoint what the problem is. And my best definition and understanding and a way to express what I was going through was to say I was seeing black, because that's exactly what I was seeing. Everything was black. So my friend is like, wow, friend, is there something wrong with your vision? Are you going blind? I'm like, no, I can see clearly, but everything is black. And I mean, we're both young, we're the same age. He didn't understand what the hell I was talking about. And I just couldn't open up to anyone else. So there was the person seeing black. And at that point, I also didn't know of anyone who had struggled with mental ailments. So I wouldn't have known that that was depression. So when I received the diagnosis, I was so confused. And also the list. You're like, wow, okay.
It is.
I'm clearly crazy. Well, according to what you're telling me. And yeah, with that journey, like I said, I had to then go back to the root cause. And as I mentioned, that when I was in school, I was a top achiever and I've always been an achiever. But then the reality was it something that I really wanted to be?
I see.
Or was it what people wanted me to be? And the reality was that I was placed under so much pressure to achieve in everything that I actually ended up sacrificing the true prudence and became the prudence that everyone expected me to be. So I mean, I remember from grade 1, I was first in class. And I've always had this personality, an outgoing personality. I'm crazy. I love doing everything. And I was just rolling, man, with life. I was just happy. I was a happy kid. But now once people started seeing what I could achieve, then they started putting this expectation that, okay, but you were first in class. Therefore, we expect this of you. And I was really good in mathematics. So you can imagine even now, anyone who's good in mathematics, you somehow put on a pedestal without you even asking to be put on that pedestal. Then it was the academics where everything I did, there was just that added pressure from my parents, from school, from my friends. Everyone is expecting so much of you. Then it was also the social element of it and the activities. So I did ballet, and then after doing ballet, you know, when now you are selected to go represent the school in these ballet exams, and you get there and you're the only black person. Now it's like, yo, we expect so much from you. Then it was sports. Oh my gosh. I played basketball, which was my favorite sport.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now the coach is on my neck. He is hard on me. And I'm thinking, but there's so many other people in the team. Why is the focus on me? And he's like, yeah, you're the best. So expect the best. We want you to be MVP. And you're thinking, okay. Then I went into netball. Netball. Oh my gosh, you're the best. We expect this from you. And I made it to the A team. Then I made it to regionals. So you can imagine that now you're like, okay, but hold up.
It's also
There's
giving
just
like
too much.
and you never really
DreamStream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. Record video, music, and podcasts in our full-service studio. DreamStream, a place to create yourself.
giving or putting yourself first.
Exactly. I mean, geez, even socially. Oh, sorry, I wanted to mention socially, where because I was a dancer. I love dancing. I actually still do to this day. They would say literally my friends actually coined this song. I'm sure you know Party and a Party Till It's Red or Blue.
Sure.
They changed it and said Party and a Party Till It's Red or Prudence. Because until Prudence arrives, a party ain't a party. And yes, initially it's all good, but where am I in all of this?
And it must have been really hectic to be in a space of the music industry.
Yeah.
And being that kind of person.
Yeah.
What was that like? And also navigating, now you are cognizant of the fact that, okay, there's the mental health issue on the table, but you're also in such a tricky industry.
Very tricky. Yeah. So I guess it was that expectation from people for me to always succeed. So I guess I was never able to really detach myself from that expectation. Because if you see it also going then into radio, into music, it's also been that. Like, yeah, Prudence is the best in this and that. And, you know, I was actually laughing the other day looking at my life that did I really actually get away from what put me in that state of mind and my mental state of being put on a pedestal and having so much people having so many expectations of me that I felt that I just couldn't do it anymore. Have I actually gone back to that? And I feel that to a certain degree I did, because you know, being on radio, I was now the best producer. I was winning the awards and I was recognized for that. And then it's the DJing and then it's this and that and that. And I feel I needed to take a time out, which is what I actually mentioned not so long ago on social media, that I went into a doulam. So I called it a doulam, which was me then just shutting the world out and going into a quiet place to really then get back to myself.
Is
exactly
that
like what
physically going into a quiet place?
Yes. Yes. So exactly like what I had to go through in 2010. It was in hospital, but obviously, oh my gosh, by the way, the hospital route, it is exceptionally expensive. I mean, the month that I spent there, when I looked at that hospital bill, it was close to $250,000.
That's insane.
I was seeing 7 doctors a day. So you can imagine the medication and everything. And obviously it was a private hospital. It was very expensive. So I knew that there was no way I'm going to go back to hospital. And I had to sit down and realize that the very thing that got me depressed and stressed and having the anxiety and bipolar firstly, it is the expectation from people, being under pressure, not being my true self and the true version of myself, not being an individual that can follow my purpose without the unnecessary judgment.
Sure.
And obviously, then it was the other things as well. One of them being at the passing of my mother, then, and then my dad just 2 years ago. So,
I'm so sorry, babe.
no, it's okay. So, with everything that has gone well, there's just so many other things that have gone wrong. I mean, one of the major things that happened to me at the age of 19, I had an appendix operation that went septic. I was in a coma. And then when I came out of it, I literally had an opening that had to be cleaned every single day. Even after I was discharged, I had to have a nurse come to my house, clean me every day, which was absolutely excruciatingly painful. And I actually took a mirror and I looked at what I looked like inside. And my mom thought that was one of the things I should have never done, because that contributed to now my mind being messed up, if I
Sure.
could say that. So it's all of that, put in this little box to say, okay, I've gone through this. I have to accept that this is the journey that God had purpose for me, because I remember in 2010 when I was in hospital and after being given that list of mental ailments, I asked God, why me? Why me? I'm such a good person. I love people. I really do my best to be good. I go to church every Sunday. I tithe.
Sure.
I donate to charity.
Yeah.
I'm literally like your best child. I should be spoiled. I should be an ambassador for you by being the first female black dollar billionaire. I love
Yes,
saying that.
darling. I love that.
But now you're making me an ambassador for mental health. No.
But
And
what
then
was
God-
it like being in that quiet space, the space where you're like, okay, I need to be and just sort of stay away from everything. What was that like?
Okay, so just to finish up, when I was in hospital, then God said, because I asked God, why me? And God said, it's not about you. It's not about you. And obviously back then I didn't understand what he meant. And that quiet space is now getting to know yourself. And for me, it was getting to know myself outside of people's perceptions.
Cool.
Because remember, I've lived according to how people see me and not how God sees me.
And for a long time in your life.
Yeah. To this day, actually, people still have those labels. Because I actually even ask this question when I do my motivational talks, who are you? And then people start telling you about the titles and you're like, you see, that's the problem. We have substituted our characteristics and our personality for the titles. When you tell me that, I'm a club DJ, no, that's not who you are. That's what you are.
Yeah.
So who are you? And that's a very tricky question, because a lot of people cannot answer that. Like, who am I outside of the title? So
And
you
outside of your name.
You see?
Yeah.
You're peeling away all these layers, and you then get to the core of who you are. And maybe someone like me, I didn't like that.
Cool.
I didn't like that because I was a public success, but a private failure. Because I had failed to become the true essence of my entire being and who I am.
Cool.
Because I was more focused on impressing everyone around me. So now you are in a dilemma, hence the bipolar. Because now I can even laugh about these mental ailments that actually the doctors were right. Because who am I? Who am I? Because now everyone expects me to always be this happy individual, but I'm actually this very sad individual because I can't be my true self. I remember one of the things that happened in my life was my sister seeing me cry. So I'm the last born child, so she's the middle one. And she said, this is the first time I see you cry. So clearly this must be really bad. And the truth is that I've been crying all my life.
Sure.
You chose not to see it. And it's also me telling people that I'm a broken individual and people not accepting it, because I have been perceived to be this perfect individual. So people, to this day, even coming out and saying that I'm depressed, I've been diagnosed with these mental ailments. Oh, my friends inbox me, they WhatsApp me, they're like, nah, no,
Yeah.
not you.
Because of
When?
the
Where?
perception of who you are, right? But we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So I also want this to be very educational because we know there's a lot of people suffering from mental illnesses throughout the board, especially in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, so I just want to understand the importance of why it was so important for you to just be alone at that period of time and what impact did it really have on you?
Okay, so talking about the industry. So what had happened, like I told you, I was diagnosed in 2010.
Yeah.
And like I said, God said it's not about me. But for me to now come out as this person that's been put on a pedestal, who's achieved so much, I just felt that I couldn't because of the stigma attached to it. And remember, I said I didn't know of anyone who had come out publicly and said that they're suffering from depression and these mental ailments. Now you start seeing the rate of suicides and individuals that are in this industry, one of them being your Ricky Riggs. And you also see people that you know taking their lives. And now it's like God is looking at you and saying, remember what I said. Now it's the time. Now is the time to come out and talk about it. And you have the power to heal. Because remember that if you have the influence where people now see you as this individual that has it all together, take that influence and teach them and show them the reality, the real you. And that's why I had to go into this quiet place to then find this real me, so that when I come back out, I'll say, yes, here are the achievements. But do you know there's also this part? And unfortunately, in this era of the Instagram life where everything needs to be perfect, people are not willing to come out and talk about it. I'm not going to lie, it's been kind of tough to actually talk about it because remember, I've always been the perfect person. So I'm still like in the beginning stages of feeling comfortable talking about my shortcomings. And more than anything, I always say that I remember going into hospital and saying, I never knew of anyone who was going through that. And also, I was suicidal. Now imagine someone who's suicidal and then they see that, oh, hold on, here's Pru Luv. Look at what she's achieved, but she's gone through this, so I'm not alone.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe let me take a step back. Let me look at my life. Let me reevaluate everything. So I think for me coming out and starting the Pru Luv wellness journey is to say there is that person that's going through what what you're going through, that has gone through it, and look at her. She's been able to get out of it. She's been able to survive. So you are not alone. That's the most important thing. You are not alone, because that's what leads a lot of people into suicide, when you feel that you are alone and no one understands what you're going through.
Firstly, congratulations on the initiative.
Thank you.
Yes, please tell us more about it.
Okay, so we are still at the early stages. It's called Pru Luv Wellness. It's an initiative where I say, let's heal together. So unfortunately, with mental ailments like depression, stress, bipolar, and anxiety, they're not curable. So they lie dormant until something else triggers it. Like with myself in 2010, it was when I was diagnosed. In 2014, my mom passed away, it came back. In 2021, my dad passed away, it came back. So it's saying that maybe we need to get to a point where we understand that life happens. We will go through times where we break down, we will fall, but we can heal. We can heal if we allow ourselves that time and opportunity to heal, and don't ever get to a point where you feel that there's no way out. So let's heal together. And I am saying I'm coming out to be honest and to be transparent by revealing the true essence of my being outside of these successes. So I'm allowing myself to peel myself in front of people on a public platform to say, hey, I've achieved all of this. So just because I've achieved all of this doesn't mean there's no breaking down, there are no tears, there's no depression. It can happen concurrently, but also there is tomorrow. And tomorrow you can still get up. So whether you are in a space where you are unemployed, you've been going to interviews, you've been applying everywhere, and it seems like there's just no light at the end of the tunnel. But it's also changing your mindset to say, okay, let's take a back seat. What is it that I can do besides what I've already been doing? And to say, okay, well, I actually have these amazing ideas. Your purpose. So your purpose could be exactly why you are not getting that job.
Yeah.
Because God is expecting you to start something with what you have. We all have gifts. So it's also just a reminder of our true selves. Because I think in this artificial world that we live in, a lot of us have forgotten who we are.
Yeah.
Not what we are, but who we are.
100%.
And we've got advocates, we've got individuals that can change the world. But when are you going to tap into that when you're busy on social media trying to keep up with the trends? I mean, for the mere fact that we don't have cures for HIV and cancer, are you telling me there's no one, absolutely no one out of over 8 billion people in the world that could get us a cure? There are. But you'd find that a person is so entrenched in the social media and looking good and Instagram live, hoo-ha. But who are you? And it's also like tapping into the whole DJing thing that everyone is becoming a DJ. But are you really meant to be a DJ?
Sure.
What is your purpose? So basically, Pru Luv Wellness is saying, let's go back to our purposes and let's heal together.
And if someone wants to also just be involved, you know, they are trying to, you know, deal with their own ailments, but do it with you, what is it that they need to do?
Okay, they need to follow Pru Luv Wellness. We are only on Instagram for now, but I am going to put up all the information about what we're going to be doing. And also, I'm currently working with other individuals so that we can make, outlets available. You know, like I mentioned that taking the hospital and medical route is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm working towards getting platforms that will be maybe free of charge or not as expensive for those that truly need that medical intervention. But I'm also a SLCC youth ambassador, and we are working towards bringing out the message and actually coming up with outlets that people can actually go to get that assistance.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Pru Luv. This has been very interesting, especially from the eye of the media space.
Yeah.
You know, this industry is very strange because you can feel very alone and know many people.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the reality. But before we go, can you please just give, and this is also where the motivational talk comes out. But very quickly, just there's someone who really is having second thoughts right now. They do have ailments where mental health is concerned.
Yeah.
They could be in the industry or not be in the industry. But what would you say to that person right now?
I think wherever you are in life, whether you are a public success or even a public failure, I think, like I mentioned to you, the most important thing that we as people have forgotten is the foundation. Who am I? Why am I here on this planet? There are over 8 billion people in this world. Surely there's a purpose that God felt that I needed to be created. It's not going to be a duplication of anything. There's something that is unique about me. There's something that is unique about you that is going to impact this world. Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive. So whether you're unemployed, whether people have told you that you're useless, whether you come from a disadvantaged background, whatever it is, there would be no need for you to be alive today unless there's something that you can contribute in this planet, on this earth, to change people's lives, to bring about positive impact. And that's what you need to go back to, the purpose. Ask yourself, what is my purpose on earth? And if you don't know it, ask God. People think that, life is very complex when actually it's not that complex. Just ask God.
Sure.
Sit down, ask God, why am I here on this earth? What is it that I'm going to be contributing on this planet? And that's where we all need to go to. Go back to the fundamentals of your very existence. Who am I? Why am I on this planet? And it starts there. And I mean, right now we have a huge problem with unemployment, but people are looking at being employed. Maybe you are the employer.
Sure.
When will you get to that?
100%.
Because it's a mindset. We need to shift our mindsets and dig into ourselves, because there's so many riches within us. Everyone is born with the gift. I hate the fact that people say, but Pru Luv, you have so many gifts. But what about you?
Yeah.
We all were
you
born
probably
with gifts.
also have tons of gifts. Yeah.
And
that's
also,
a real thing.
for us not to chase what's the most popular at that time. You look at the top 10 wealthiest individuals in the world, they're not all in the same industry.
No,
They followed their passion.
absolutely.
And that's where it is. So the secret, you need money, you need success.
Yeah.
Find your passion, find your purpose.
And I love
and everything
that.
is going to open up for you.
And I love it because you're really, really just forcing us, even myself, you
Yeah.
know, to really just dig deep into myself, into me within, you know, and not really out in the world.
Exactly.
You know, so thank you so much for joining us. Keep shining, keep doing what you're
you.
doing, you know, and to also use your influence in the way that you are.
Thank you.
The word influencer these days is being used a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, that goes to social media, but it's a whole nother thing to be influential and to be cognizant of it and to be intentional about it.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you also for, you know, doing the right thing and watching us right here, more music, Politricks. Make sure to check out Tranquility Tree Counseling Services. All the details, we'll put them down on the screen just in case you do want to actually speak to someone. And of course, as Pru Luv has said, it is Pru Luv Wellness on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe, to like, to comment. Let me know, Horobona, what kind of conversations do you want to have? Ne? And ribitse mang. O itse keng, re nne fatshe re tate di-4, re utlwe hore di ntshang again. By the way, nakalina ke nna busi, baba khulu, baba dese, but the queen of Pitori from Pru Luv and myself, we are out.